everybody, and welcome to the Oval in London for what is going to be a wonderful afternoon of AFL football as Essendon takes on Richmond. But jumpers of all persuasions here today. There's a couple of Bombers coming in. We saw a Swan, a West Coast Eagle, even a Melbourne Storm. Wrong code, but the feeling is very good here today. A bit of Australiana in London town. And joining me to call all the action this afternoon, Sam Newman. Sam, welcome aboard.
Thank you very much, Ed. What a magnificent backdrop. The gasometer and the slums of Peckham there, and just a bit further over, Westminster Abbey in the eye.
It is indeed, mate. And the Tigers just coming out onto the ground right now. Should be a wonderful day of football.
It should be, and both sides have a chance just to finish off a year that probably slipped away from them a couple of months ago.
All right, well, of course, in 1987, I was here calling a game, Sam, and it became one of the most controversial in the history of football as North Melbourne took on Carlton in what became the Battle of Britain. And I remember as a young caller with Bruce McVeigh calling this on Channel 10, this is where it really started. David Rhys-Jones copped one there from Donald McDonald, and then Rhys reciprocated, and it was on. And from this moment on, it really escalated. You'll see Alistair Clarkson come in here, and Aitken went down. Here it comes, bang, one of the biggest
many of
hits.
the locals, Ed, thought that this was put on for the crowd, and if you have a very close look, you'll see none of that was put on.
No, absolutely. Wayne Johnson was throwing them left, right and centre. Jimmy Buckley, they were told by Robert Walls, don't let Clarkson off the ground. Well, Clinton Casey joins us this afternoon, president of Richmond. Now, your boys are fired up, Clinton. What are we going to see this afternoon? Not more of that, are we?
No, but they are fired up, and they're really proud to be here. They put on the exhibition match over here. It's been a great education for them. There's a lot of young boys out there. Two new fellas, young Hart and Miller, will make their debut today, so a great place to be doing it for them.
And the peace pipe has obviously been smoked because we've got Matthew Richardson deputising as the captain after all the kerfuffle that went on earlier in the year. Yeah, Clinton.
That's right, he'll be our fearless captain out there today. There has been a bit of progress made with Richo, and I'm sure the members will be hearing from Matthew early in the week.
And as you can see there, number 42 is young Hart. That's Simon Hart, the son of Royce. Got to get rid of the 2 there, just have the old 4 on his number on his back there. But
yeah, it'll be terrific.
Your boys are ready to go, so it should be a fantastic afternoon. Clinton Casey joining us there, and great to see Richo, the acting captain. Maybe some big news coming up for Tiger fans in the next week or so.
Yeah, there will be. Good on you, Ed.
Good on you, Clinton. Let's go down to a bloke who's not playing, unfortunately, for the Bombers today. He's recovering from knee surgery. That's their skipper, James Hird. G'day, Hirdy. Welcome aboard.
Thanks very much, Eddie. Great to be here.
And how's the preparation been for the Bombers so far, building up to this game? James, tell us the truth.
Yeah, look, it's been great. It's been not the ideal preparation, obviously, flying over to the other side of the world, but look, great atmosphere in London, and we're pretty excited about the game.
I don't think it's the plane travel that's stifling your ambitions today, is it, James? The boys have played pretty hard the last few days.
Yeah, they've had a good time. I think that's part of getting away and seeing another side of the world, but the boys were well behaved last night and ready for a game.
Absolutely, James. And how's your knee, just as we have a look at the Essendon side?
Yeah, the knee's great. Ed had the operation 3 weeks ago and unfortunately can't get out here. The ground's a bit wet, so we'll keep off it today.
All right, well, we've got a couple of new players in here for the Bombers to have a look at today. Toby McGuire's wearing number 44. He turned 22 yesterday, and he's playing with his brother today. Adam Winter, number 45. Scott Howard, number 46. And Ken Hall, number 47. So a couple of boys from West Meadows and Aberfeldy making their debut on London here today. Sam, it's a fantastic opportunity for them.
Could you think of a better place to make a debut in?
Absolutely not, Sam. It's fantastic.
Yeah, cheers.
All right, well, Sam, we're all in readiness now. It's going to be a fantastic game of football today. Live from the Oval in London, Sam Newman, Gerard Healy will be joining us in a few moments' time as Essendon take on Richmond for the AMP International Cup. Back to the Oval in London as we get set for today's big game between Essendon and Richmond as we welcome Gerard Healy to the commentary box. Gerard, welcome aboard.
Good on you, Ed. It's terrific to be here. Obviously, we're out of season, but we get used to these games, and the players do love to come and play. They do it a little bit hard through the week, and they get themselves all set up. But when the ball is bounced, Sam, the competitive juices start flowing, and Richo as captain will be up against Scotty Lucas, so we've got an A-grade match-up to start with.
we've already discussed, the players have had a pretty good couple of days, but don't think they're not taking this seriously. And a number of debutants for the Richmond sides, so the Essendon side rather. So it'll be interesting to see how they all go.
We'll be talking to Danny Frawley during the match. I think we're talking to him in the second or third quarter, and no doubt there are a number of players playing for their careers here, young guys that haven't quite made it, and also maybe some older fellows that need just to put a little bit out to show they're still capable.
Just to reaffirm in the eyes of the people who make the decisions that they're still about.
Well, a bit of fun there for the two acting captains, Joe Massetti of Essendon and Richard. Well, as you've shown that he might be a future captain for the Tigers there. Won the toss and will be kicking to the right of screen, which is to the Peter May end here at the Oval, and which means the Bombers will be going to the Stuart Surridge end. Of course, some fantastic names. The weather conditions here at the moment, as I said a little bit earlier, it was heavy rain this morning, but pretty good conditions now. High cloud, bit of darkness around the place, but I don't think we'll see much rain. In fact, the sun is breaking through over the city of London at the moment.
Yes, it's the conditions look terrible when we first woke this morning, but it's come pretty good, and as you said, Ed, the sun's starting to break through, and hopefully the skills will be on display. Young
David Rodan, who had to go through a citizenship ceremony during the week to get his passport, originally from Fiji, of course. It's a long way to come from a kid from Broadmeadows to come over here, his first international trip, and it's great to see him out there, David Rodan.
And we're told he's going to start in the middle of the ground, and I think that's his future, Sam. He's got electrifying pace, and hopefully can build the endurance to dominate the midfield for the Tigers over the next decade.
Now, Gerard, I know this is an exhibition game, and the boys have obviously been enjoying their post-season break, but there's a few guys out here today who really have to put their hand up and are playing for their future.
Yeah, I think when you just look at some of the senior players for Richmond, they'll know their jobs are on the line. Matthew Rogers is one, I think, who had a bit of an indifferent season, started okay, had some reasonable matches through the middle, but he needs to reassert himself. I think Leon Cameron's another one, Ed, that maybe needs to just show that he's still got the pace and the hunger for footy. And
Sam Newman always very keen to have a good look at the umpires. Sam, what do you think of the new gear the umpires are in, as umpire Steve McBurney holds the Sharon aloft to start this afternoon's game between Essendon and the Tigers? The umpires McBurney, Stuart Wen and Martin Ellis.
Sam, I think it'd be fair to say it's in different gear, Ed.
So the opening bounce is away. Bombers out of the centre. This is McGuire. Over the top of the ball there, Corey McGrath knocks it out to the centre wing position. Massetti coming through for the Tigers was Edney. He's caught high, gets the handball out. Hall, left foot, high up and under, up towards Richardson at full forward. And Richo takes a beauty. Umpires pick out a free kick though, and it's going the way of Danny Jacobs at full back for Essendon.
Well, he hasn't read the script, the umpire. That was clearly a mark, and in his first minute as captain of the club, he has taken a mark that should have been paid, and he could have kicked a goal.
So Jacobs takes the ball to the outer side, the gasometer side of the ground here at the Oval. The handball comes out to Bullen. Bullen goes wide on a very wide ground here, Sam, and over the line and out of bounds. We'll have a throw in centre wing.
A very big ground, Ed, and young Adam Winter been thrown in at the deep end. He is playing on Brad Ottens, and Matthew Richardson, well, he'll be very, very keen to give that announcement some credence later on in the week.
That's the one that we're not letting on that's happening, Sam, is it?
Oh, well, we've already chatted to Clinton Casey about it, and he'll be letting that go later.
Rodan's kick up towards the half-forward flank position. Here's a chance now for the Tigers as they go inside 50. Out comes Richo again, but it's Jacobs doing beautifully for the Bombers. He kicks it wide out to the wing position. Picked up here. This is Winter. Winter comes out wider still to the half-forward flank position. Handball inside from Henneman was a good one. Over to McGrath, who gets it out wide again. Coming through is Davies. Davies kicks up towards the centre half forward position. Punched away off the hands of the pack. Picked up by Houlihan. It was got the handball going out to Hall. He's dispossessed. Here's a chance now for Heffernan. He runs into an open goal. First score of the game will be the Bombers, but he's offline from point-blank range and through for just 1 point.
Well, as we have seen, Sam, the conditions are a little bit slippery, but good to see some young guys that we haven't seen before getting a chance. And you wouldn't believe when you finished your game or even started to play that young guys will be making their debut at the Oval in England.
And there's plenty of them too. There's about 10 here today from the collective sides.
So beautiful mark taken there by Henneman. He gets the kick in. Ball out wide now. Picked up by Coughlin for the Tigers. Gets the handball working to Ty Zantuck. Zantuck swings onto the right boot and kicks it straight over the line and out of bounds on the full. and the Bombers will take the free kick from the half-back flank.
Probably best describe this ground as an egg, the way it is shaped at the present time. The players are going to have to get used to the shape, otherwise we'll see more of that, the ball being kicked out in the full.
Some of the early skills on display, showing the effects of what has been a pretty big week in London for a lot of these boys, I think, Gerard.
Yeah, I think there's a number of trained off considerably yet.
Richards knocks it forward. Here's a chance now for the Tigers. Zantuck got the handball out, but it went straight to Forster Knight. Forster Knight kicks forward to Barnard. Almost took the mark, couldn't quite hold it. Should have had a free kick. Pettifer knocks it forward to Rodan now for the Tigers. Young Rodan has a bounce, runs to the fence at 50, a second bounce. Now he looks up the wing, kicks it up towards his teammate. Got a lucky bounce, Edney. Handballs over the top. Holding the ball, or holding the man rather, against Lucas. Umpire calls play on as Edney kicks forward again up towards Ottens. Ottens comes forward, couldn't quite collect the ball. Bombers try to run it out of the fence. They'll get a free kick in the back against Clinton King. Advantage is paid. Now the handball goes again. The Bombers bring it away. Shocking kick out, picked up by Pettifer, who kicks a big torpedo forward. They've got the numbers here, the Tigers. If any of them can actually get near it, Richo goes for the soccer goal, inspired by Beckham playing in the continent this weekend, and it's through for a behind. So it's a point apiece. Early in the first term, we've been playing nearly 4 minutes.
Well, they've got a pretty tall forward line, the Tigers. They've got Brad Ottens. He's being picked up by a young kid in Adam Winter, who you saw just repel that ball, and Danny Jacobs on Richo is a good matchup. And Justin Blumfield, another one who has just dropped the ball. Here comes Rodan, Sam, and this kid is, I guess, give every Richmond supporter some futures. He drives it in long, Ed, and once again the ball hits the turf.
Yeah, Ottens was up high. Here's a chance now for a quick kicker in the body from Mills. He's sprayed it across the front of the goals, though, and through for another behind.
And we've said all along through the season that Richardson and Ottens would be the best bet up on the forward line for the Tigers, and that's how they've started in this game, this memorable game at the Oval. And as you said, the young man Rodan playing very well, celebrating the fact that he's a citizen.
Ball out wide, Corey McGuire playing alongside his brother Toby today for the first time for the Bombers in the seniors. This is Adam Winter. He brings the ball out to Lucas at half-back flank.
And didn't he make a transition in his form halfway through the year? When he went to centre half-back, he just became a dominant player in the competition.
Henneman back to Lucas, tries to crash his way through. Tivendale applied the tackle, spills out wide. The handball intercepted there by Coughlin. Up towards Ottens, off the hands of the pack. Here's Captain Fantastic. If he can steady, he does, and kicks a goal. The first of the day to Captain Richardson. So welcome back to the Oval in London as Richardson kicks the first goal of the game. And Sam, you can tell there, he's pretty hyped up out there, the captain.
He is very hyped up, Ed, and in very good form early, because I think he's been taking this pretty seriously since he arrived.
There's no doubt, Gerard, during the week that the Tigers trained a lot more impressively than the Bombers, and they've got big things happening, of course, this week. They've had some major announcements down at the club, and
well, Greg Miller, of course, has been signed up to become the new football manager. We're not sure if it's a long-term appointment, but what we believe is it's certainly for 6 months, and then they'll address the situation. An election coming up for the Tigers as well, so when you can announce some good things like that, obviously it's going to help the administration as it stands.
And both of these clubs expected to announce reasonable profits this year, which is going against the trend of a lot of clubs, so a lot to be happy about if you're a Tiger or Bomber fan, of course, going forward. The Tigers coming off a disappointing year. They were racked by injury mid-year.
Yeah, I think Sam said earlier in the commentary that both of these clubs promised so much at the start of the year. The Bombers, of course, finished second 2 years ago and fifth at the end. And, well, there's some of the locals who've brought the inflated toys that appear to be creeping into the game.
Well, it's great to see a pretty good crowd here today, Sam. The crowd's still building up as Rodan picks the ball up. He's been busy so far in this game. The left foot kick up towards Ottens, who punches from behind. Over the line and out of bounds, will have a throw in.
Well, I don't think we'd be so optimistic as to say the game will ever take over here, Gerard, but I tell you what, there's tremendous interest in it. They do like the physical aspect of it, and all the fans love the athleticism of the players that come over.
It's also a great social day, this. A lot of the expats obviously get down here, have a few Fosters. The pubs after the game always full. As Pettifer gets the handball back to Houlihan for the Tigers. He thumps it long up towards the centre half forward position. Coming out there was Winter. Had a couple of grabs at it. And he's a likely type, 19 years of age, from West Meadows. Geez, the kid growing up in Broady, do you reckon he thought his first game for the Bombers would be over here at London?
It is unbelievable. He looks a good size, and clearly there'll be some opportunities for him over summer.
That 1987 Battle of Britain game, a young bloke from Corriwak by the name of John Longmire made his debut, and he wondered what the hell he'd walked into. And gee, some of the stories out of that game, I remember Robert Walls threw the walkie-talkie at John Kennedy down on the boundary line. He missed him by about 3 inches. Had it hit him, it would have killed him, I reckon.
He was relating that story to us in Dublin only a couple of days ago. I'm sure he's a little bit embarrassed about it, but the emotion can take over.
It was very emotional that day, no doubt about it, as we'll have a throw in. In the left forward pocket, Tigers into attack again.
They promised the sun, Ed, and it has duly arrived.
It is indeed. So it's a red letter day here in London. Sun and AFL football all in the one afternoon. Has been pretty good, the weather. Ottens does it well out of the ruck, tries to get his kick away, smothered. Going hard in there was Edney. Ball spills out wide. Zantuck was hard at it, and the free kick will go to Welsh.
Interesting that they are pushing Zantuck into the forward line. Of course, he had a great year as a defender, but he's just showing he is capable of playing at both ends of the ground.
This is James Davies, who was recruited from Xavier College a couple of years ago. In fact, he was recruited last year in the draft, and he was the player that many thought Essendon had warehoused and just kept under wraps for a fair while there.
And without stating the bleeding obvious, Ed, the Tigers look to be doing a lot better than the Bombers at this stage.
I think the Bombers have peaked already, Sam.
I think they've peaked about Tuesday.
9 minutes in, we'll get some thoughts from James Hurd in a few moments' time, who's our boundary rider today. Ball over the line and out of bounds from McGuire. We'll have a throw in.
Well, there was James Davies. He just applied a pretty good tackle on Greg Tivendale, and he's got that job a match up. Pretty tough when you get an end-of-season exhibition game and you end up with a tag of hard work, and there you see the tackle of Davies.
On the throw in. They dive in on top, and we'll have another bounce.
Blake Carousel, Red, there's been a lot of discussion about his future at the club. I spoke to him earlier today. He seemed in pretty good spirits. It would be staggering if he left the Essendon Footy Club.
Well, it would only be because of salary cap restrictions, you'd feel, Gerard. Of course, the Bombers had to lose Damien Hardwick last year, and you know, that was so unfortunate for the Bombers because he was probably Port Adelaide's best player when they knocked Essendon out, and that's why there has been, and I don't want to be going on about the salary cap, but that's why there is a feeling around football about the salary cap being the inequality of it biting some clubs and not others, and certainly the Bombers felt the sword on that occasion.
But you're not going to go on with it.
I'm not going to go on about it too much.
Andrew Demetrio is joining us also later. Lots of suggestions that the salary cap may bite the Blues later in the week.
Yes, indeed. We'll find out more about that, but there is some big news around football, certainly around here in London, that in fact the trading period will be delayed because of the salary cap investigations into Carlton. So it doesn't sound good for the Blues, but we'll hear more from Andrew Demetrio a little bit later on. As Tivendale's kick has been intercepted again by Danny Jacobs, who's starting to find his feet in senior football, Sam.
He is indeed, and a very accomplished player, Danny Jacobs. They have very high raps on him at Essendon.
Nadine Rioli in the number 30 jumper. Any reason for that, Sam?
I've got a reason, but I just won't. I don't think he could fit into his normal jumper.
Don't say anything more.
He's put on a smaller jumper because he's...
Here he is, the man of the moment. The left foot kick has been intercepted by Ezra Poyas. Now he is a player who is playing for his future today. We'll talk to Danny Frawley a little bit later on. And that kick might not have helped his future too much as Zantuck allows the ball over the line and out of bounds. Let's go down to James Hurd. James, the feeling down at ground level.
Pretty physical game, Ed. A few of the Essendon boys throwing themselves in. Matthew Richardson seems to have some pretty good control of the game, and Corey McGuire getting a bit of ball from the Bombers, but a great atmosphere here and beautiful weather too. Speaking of Corey McGuire, Hurdy, I saw him in the stands only just 5 minutes before the game. He's a lot taller than he comes across on TV. Yeah, he's a lot taller. He can take a good mark and probably plays a couple of inches above his height, Gerard. Well, speaking of players playing above their height, Paul Barnard going in there with an opportunity, but here's the man we spoke about, Ezra Poyas, getting a couple of possessions off the half-back line. And Poyas does it again. He brings it out towards the half-forward flank position for the Tigers. Good mark taken out there. Handball inside. Tivendale on that raking left foot up towards Richardson, but once again Jacobs just read him to play better. Yeah, he's a player growing in stature, and he's just playing in front. Richo as captain, he may have to send himself a message, Sam, to get in front and compete. Or, as we would like, have the ball kicked high to him, and the last two that have come to him have been chest height. That's not his forte. Brad Miller was the one who took the strong mark. He's got the ball here in the middle of the ground. Likely type in his first year
Played in the back pocket at times during the year. Gerard, a rookie player from Darley, just 19 years of age, so keen to impress today. And first outing for the Tigers in senior company.
And there's Mark Bullen who got that ball to Barnard. This is good work from Essendon. They're using the ground well, the space out wide to take the ball into the forward line. They've just got to find some way of converting a bit better.
Heffernan to force tonight the kick forward. Richards couldn't quite hold the mark. Good strong play again by his former Xavier College teammate in Davies. It comes out wide to Barnard. Barnard handballs off to Rioli. He tricked everyone, including himself, but he ended up with the ball. Now he has a flying shot at the goal, and that one is through for a behind.
Bertie, just on the players, there's no doubt a couple of them, I don't think we're overstating the case, a couple would see this as perhaps their final opportunity to nail a spot on the list for next year. Silence, will take that as a yes.
Ball goes forward now for the Tigers, up towards Richardson. He got one high, umpire called play on. Clinton King in the forward pocket. Little chip kick around the body is a good one too. Didn't go to 15. Umpire calls play on, but the flying shot at the goal is just offline and through for a point for the Tigers. That was the young fella again there going through in Mills.
And the Tigers doing a couple of rotations. Rodan off the ground, Rogers on, and Clinton King coming from the ground, and a young kid, Simon Hart, coming onto the field for the Tigers. What a famous name.
Son of Royce, had shoulder problems during the year, another rookie. As the Bombers bring the ball back into play. They've got the numbers here, they all fly against each other. Jacobs had his hand on the ball, it was knocked away by Davies. Jacobs goes in a second time, knocks it out looking for Barnard. Rioli tried to dribble the kick out, ball spills to Bullen, wider still, and over the line and out of bounds. We have a throw in just outside the defensive 50 for the Bombers.
I'd say the Bombers just hanging on, Gerard, just as we sit here looking over the magnificent oval, just desperately clinging to this first quarter by the look of them.
Oh, I think they're getting the ball into their forward line enough, Sam. They just haven't been able to convert. But I think you're right, they're just showing signs that maybe they've left their best back in Melbourne. There's no doubt the Tigers have taken this match pretty seriously as you can take an exhibition game. But speaking to Danny Frawley, they made a pact before they came across to have a fair dinkum go as much as you can. And right now they look as if athletically they're going better.
I'm not suggesting the Bombers aren't taking it seriously. I'm just saying the Tigers look to be up and about a fraction more.
Okay.
So 15 and a half minutes gone in this opening term. Today playing just 20-minute quarters, boys, no time on. And at the moment it's the Tigers 1-3-9 leading the Bombers 2 behinds by 7 points. Ball up, Ottens, Blumfield for the Bombers, gets it away to McGuire, couldn't quite get the handball away. Good tackle from Zantuck. Diving in on the top of it was Coughlin for the Tigers. And we'll have another bounce at half forward flank.
I bet Royce will be down in Tasmania watching his son Simon on the 9 network going through the hoops here. Not sure who he's playing on. I've been watching him for a while. He doesn't seem to be being picked up by anyone at this stage.
He's like most young kids, Sam. He's just gone straight onto the ball. He's desperate to get his hands on the leather. And what a fantastic mark from Chris Newman. That he's got plenty of talent, this young kid. He's only 20 years of age, and there's no doubt there's a big future for him at the Tigers.
Carrying a big name too, Newman, as he kicks up towards the half-forward flank position. Taking the mark was Edney. Gets the lead from Richo, 1-on-1 against Jacobs. Did everything bar hold the ball. Duncan Kellaway, Pettifer tries to dribble it through. Almost a free kick there to the Bombers in Welsh. And in fact the umpire has plucked it out for in the back. Welsh will take the free kick on the last line of defence for the Essendon side. He brings it out wide to the members' side. Lucas did well for Hille. Takes the sliding mark.
Ed, put your club president's hat on. What benefit do you see in these matches for the teams?
Oh, look, I think as much as anything, Gerard, it's tremendous camaraderie, as you said early on. You can set yourself for the next year. The boys will obviously go home and go away then and have a bit of a break, but they'll reload and come back with a lot of great stories. You've been a tourist over the years. We know that tomorrow night will be, or tomorrow will be over in Ireland for the big game over there. And it's interesting that the international series between Australia and Ireland would have to be the only football code in the world where playing at home is seen as a disadvantage.
It is, despite the fact that we are playing in Ireland. Every touring side has one with the exception of one. And having a look at some of the hierarchy there at the Tigers, I'm not sure their diet tree control is up to scratch at the moment.
Good to see Danny Frawley and the boys here tucking into a pie. Good to see they've got the pies going over here as well. Crashing through, doing beautifully was Edney again for the Tigers to Poyas. Poyas gets the handball away. Richmond go forward. Here's a chance now out wide for Simon Hart for his first touch. He gets the handball going. It was shocking to play there by Joel Bowden. He went back in, got it again. He was over the top of the ball for 10 minutes without anyone touching him. Hart's kickers to the pocket, looking for Ray Hall, and a stumped over the line out of bounds for a throw-in.
An unusual tactic by Kevin Sheedy. He has insisted, and they're just tucking into those pies. As you said, he has insisted that young Simon Hart will have no one playing on him on the forward line. Insisted on that.
Clinton King back on for the Tigers. Throw in. Here's a chance for Pettifer. Exciting young player. Over the line and out of bounds for another throw in.
And very good play early by Dean Rioli, who is single-handedly holding the Bombers out almost.
Yeah, well, the defence has been pretty good. If you had to give votes at the moment, I think most of them would be going to Bomber defenders.
Well, it's been in the forward 50 for the Tigers for most of this opening quarter, as Hall gets the tap, and once again it's the Bombers who clear the ball out towards Blumfield, who takes the mark. Just lost Rogers. Rogers lost the flight of the ball. Blumfield kick towards the half back line. Diving mark taken again by Davies, who's certainly showing a bit today.
Well, as you said, Eddie is a kid that has got a massive reputation. We haven't seen the best of him, obviously, and we just like, I think, or he'd like to be able to just get an opportunity. But James, tell us a bit about the youngster. Sam, you may have to bring the speech out about communicating with the moon.
Beautiful mark taken by Richardson at full forward for the Tigers. And Sam, you've been calling for that for about 2 years now, to get the ball quickly into Richo and just let him do what he does best.
That's right, because he's big and he's strong and he's certainly very coordinated, and I don't know why they mess around with the other option. But he's certainly a far better operator when the ball's in the air, and young Jacobs. And here's a kick after the siren, which would give them a fair start, really. Only one goal been scored.
And he has been the man to score that goal. So Matthew Richardson, acting captain of the Tigers, comes in from about 30 metres out. He pulled the kick, put it through for a goal. The Tiger fans go up. And Richo gets his second. And the Tigers, look at that, running across. Fantastic camaraderie here between the Tiger players. And they're very excited to be leading at quarter time. 2-3-15 to the Bombers, 2 behinds. We'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back to the Oval in London. A real carnival atmosphere building here this afternoon. It's been a fantastic spectacle so far as the crowd all here in their football colours, and great to see the Tigers have really come to play this afternoon. They lead 2-3-15 with both goals coming from the acting captain Matthew Richardson. The Bombers 2 behinds, and Richo enjoying his football this afternoon. There's no doubt about that. Let's go down to James Hurd. Hurdy, what's going on from the Bombers?
Well, Ed, the Bombers not going that well at the moment. I think the combination of the wind and a bit of lack of skill at the moment is hurting us, but Richo up forward's been great with 2 goals, and the enthusiasm shown by the Richmond side is something they've probably built up during the week.
James Davies is a kid that we know a hell of a lot about. We haven't seen him produce it out on the ground yet.
Mate, I just got that. I think James Davies, look, he's a fantastic young kid, great tackler, and really got his fitness up, and should be playing some league footy next year.
Well, we always like to give the side that's down in the first quarter a chance down the other end, because there might be a wind advantage.
There's definitely a wind towards the way the Richmond are going, Sam.
Thank you, James. Well, we'll reserve our opinion solidly until half-time then about the fortunes of your side.
What do you think it is, James? Maybe a 2-goal win?
Well, just having a look at it, I think you're being pretty kind to the Bombers there, but we've worked out who Simon Hart is playing on, and it's Dean Rioli, Sam.
Yes, I would say that would start off like that, but eventually they would just completely separate, because Rioli has been fantastic.
Well, umpire Ellis produced one of the world's worst ball-ups, and then quickly gets another free kick away to the Tigers. Now, Gerard, in that situation, you just bring the ball back, surely, and stop the clock and start it again.
Yeah, I think that's right, Ed. It should happen. I'm not sure why they don't. I think the umpires get nervous second time around.
Well, then throw it up.
That'll do.
Centre half forward, the Tigers into attack again. Will have a bounce.
Very often I disagree with you, Ed, but I think bouncing the ball is one of the traditional parts of our game and must be retained.
Yes, no, I'm with you, Sam. I agree wholeheartedly.
Thank you.
But I think that at times they take it forever to ball it up, and maybe we need to get the packs away. As you could just see there, it took 15 to 20 seconds. Had the umpire, as they did in the old days, just get in and quickly get it going.
Well, that's a different story.
Altogether. Back in the centre of the ground. Here's the Bombers through McVeigh. He gets the ball out. Carousella, cheeky little kick forward. Leon Cameron there for the Tigers. Heffernan gets a hand on the ball. McGuire gets the handball back. That was good play. As the two McGraths combining there, handballing to each other, waxing like they used to in the backyard, and a free kick will come back to Essendon in the way of McVeigh.
Well, I think they've been told, just having a look at them, to get the ball into their forward line. They've got big Barnard up there, but what Richmond are doing pretty well is just blocking up the space, and Barnard is not being able to find much of the footy.
Tivendale was the man who was in the hole on that occasion. Up towards Hart, who takes a screamer.
Well, he did. He came down the ground on the half-back line, now driving it forward. And Mark McVeigh, I'd suggest, had a fair couple of days from all accounts.
Ottens takes the mark at half-forward flank. A long kick up towards Richardson. Richardson too strong, too good for Jacobs on that occasion. And Captain Richardson lines up from 15 metres out directly in front of the kick. He's third.
There's been an era, Sam, where the science of the game has dominated, but it still comes down to a simple game plan. If you've got a guy as good as Richo, get it in quickly.
Very simple solution. He comes in, deviates to the right, slams it through. It was ugly off the boot, but he's kicked it, and the Tigers have their third.
And the ball.
Welcome back again as Richmond kicked their third goal. 3-3-21 to Essendon, 2 behinds. Ball up, centre of the ground. Taps it down to King from Hall. Edney kicks forward, up towards Ottens again. Pushed his opponent fair square in the back, and the free kick will go to Winter.
And Winter's standing up pretty well. Ottens hasn't been all that much of a factor at the moment, but they are isolating Richo up in the goal square, and they're getting the ball from the middle of the ground down to Richo. And it's a simple game plan, but it's been pretty effective so far, with Richmond leading 3-3-21 to the Bombers just a couple of behinds.
Throw in on the outer side. Up goes Hall. Got into the back of his opponent on that occasion, but the ball spills to Heffernan for the Bombers, who kicks the centre half forward. Here's McVeigh leading the race. Cameron pushes him out of the way. Good play. Barnard gives a bit of support. McVeigh goes again. Barnard kicks it around the body, but not far enough. He's kicked it straight over the line and out of bounds on the full.
Joel Bowden, of course, a magnificent kick, and well, he hasn't been all that dominant today, but disposal, as always, up to scratch as the ball goes out to Clinton King. And once again, the players seem to be using the width of the off the ground to their advantage. And if you're a Tiger, Sam, I think that they believe that their fitness is probably a little bit more dominant at the moment. That's what you'd be doing. You'd be making Essendon run as far as they can.
I think that would be the main point of Danny Frawley's address, make them run, because we've seen them over the last couple of days, and there's a great fly by the Tigers.
Yeah, almost took the mark, Zantuck. Umpire's not quite getting into the spirit of things.
No.
You'd almost pay that on a day like today, wouldn't you? Zantuck puts his head over the ball again, does it well. They dive in on top of it. Heffernan for the Bombers comes out with the ball, flicks it out wide to Rioli, who breaks through the middle of the ground. Now Rioli goes wide. Good play. Davies onto the Welsh, in fact it was. Kicks out towards Barnard. Barnard's close to the boundary line. He kicked it out of bounds on the 4 moments ago. Handballs back to McVeigh, who has a shot at the goal. Not a bad effort. Just fades on his trajectory and through for a behind. So the Bombers haven't been able to do too much so far, but they've got their third behind on the board. They trail by 3 goals, and we've been playing 5 minutes into the second term.
Well, once again, you saw the disposal of Essendon just letting them down. Barnard was clear, should have had a set shot at goal, but wasn't able to convert as the ball is repelled once again. Henneman with it, lays it off pretty well. And Blake Carousella should run on with the flight of the ball, but once again goes to ground. And the Tigers doing it pretty well. But here they go, McGuire. Toby McGuire, just unable to control the ball. Blake Carousella, he's got some enormous skills and great vision, Sam, to set up Corey McGuire for a shot at goal, which should give us their first major for the afternoon.
Well, I'll say this, Gerard. I will take the point that Simon Hart is playing on Dean Rioli, but if Dean Rioli leaves the ground for the Bombers, the floodgates will open, because he's been sensational, and that's why this man is shooting for goal now.
Yeah, what they're trying to do with Hart is to push him out on as deep into the pocket as possible to get Rioli away from the play, but Dean just reads it so well as McGuire comes in and once again misses a relatively simple shot.
Bombers would be pretty keen to kick a goal shortly, because this very, very comfortable crowd would like to see the red and black guys kick a goal. Not often the Bombers go for a quarter and a half without scoring a major. 26
minutes, in fact, Sam, of actual playing time without a goal being scored by the Bombers, as Clinton King has the ball for the Tigers. Takes it to the outer side again. They're just running the ball out wide. It goes to Cameron. Leon Cameron now runs in. Usually a beautiful kick with the ball, and on this occasion no exception, to Chaffee, just on the ground. Left foot kick up towards the forward 50. Richardson, up he goes. Couldn't quite hold the mark. Fall of the ball was Welsh. Did it well for the Bombers. Brings it out wide to the members' side, over the line and out of bounds. We'll have a throw in, and joining us in the Channel 9 commentary position is the operations manager of the AFL, Andrew Demetrio. Welcome aboard, Andrew. Just have a throw in here, Andrew. We'll talk to you about a few issues in football in a few moments' time.
Once again, Ottens and Bowden combining, and here he is again. The name of Hart just kicks the ball deep into the forward line, and Richo, he's in great nick for the middle of October, Sam, and he looks pretty dominant.
And he's what's known as giving the Tigers an absolute focal point on the forward line, because they're directing everything to him, because they realise he's kicked their 3 goals and in pretty good form.
Bombers go forward with their best attacking play of the game. Mark taken by McVeigh. He has got runners on in the forward pocket. One of them is Carousella, and he takes the mark hard up on the boundary line. Wants to play on.
Well, there's a bit of Russian roulette going on here, and the turnover for the Tigers set up a few of the Essendon players who hadn't pushed in.
Look at that.
That is an amazing way to kick a point. That may well be one of the most exceptional points that has ever been kicked.
Well, it was fantastic, because Carousel is laughing. He tried to chip it forward to Hille, and then Hille got in the way of it as it was actually drifting through for a goal, Sam.
It actually was, Ed. It was a chip kick at goal, which was meant to be a pass, and amusement rather than mirth on Carousella's face.
That and the audio, some of the funny things happening in football today, no doubt about it. As Andrew Demetrio joins us again. Andrew, welcome aboard.
Good afternoon, Eddie.
It's good to hear you this time, mate. Andrew, we're just talking before. There's some talk that maybe the AFL trade period might be delayed as the investigation into the salary cap of Carlton continues.
Yes, Eddie, we'll end up making a decision on that, I guess, by the end of next week.
The boys out there at the moment, Andrew, it's not the greatest skill, but everyone's having a good time.
Oh, I think so. We've got a good crowd in. There was something like 10,500 in about 10 minutes ago, and there are a couple of thousand outside, Eddie.
You're concerned about gambling in football, Andrew, because right now it looks as if the Bombers have had a bet that they will not kick a goal in the first half.
I think the Bombers have pushed themselves pretty hard, Gerard, this week.
Andrew, just quickly back on the trade period as Richmond go forward again. Is that the possible delay in the trade period? How much is that going to affect the whole drafting and trading situation? Is it going to have a major play?
I wouldn't have thought so, Eddie, but I mean, you know, we've got the draft which will happen on the 25th of November, and we're pretty certain that won't be affected, and we can have a trade period in the middle of November if we have to.
Andrew, when we left, there was a suggestion that if Carlton were found guilty, that of any indiscretion, that they would lose points next year. Clearly, that is not going to be the option.
Look, Gerard, I can't comment on what may or may not happen. At the moment, we haven't concluded what we're doing with the Carlton Football Club, and until we do that, we won't be able to make in any position to make any comments.
Why would you be even contemplating pushing the draft back? The trading period back?
I think in fairness to everybody, I think there's some more information that we're seeking, and that will require more time. And we've got time up our sleeve because there's a month between the trading period and the draft.
Is Carlton, would it be possible that they could lose their number 1 pick and the concessional pick?
No, I'm not speculating on that, Gerard, whether they will or they won't.
And I want to ask you a philosophical question at the appropriate time, so we'll just watch a bit of the game, Andrew, and as the Bombers go into attack for about the third time in the actual match. No, they're doing better than that, as a matter of fact, but just a bit rusty down the forward line.
Tell you what, while we've been talking to Andrew Demetrio, the pace of the game has stepped up a cog, no doubt about it, as Bowden gets the handball across. Now the Tigers through Newman up towards the centre of the ground. And a pretty good mark taken there too.
Now, Andrew,
I know the new boys, and on this occasion it is Mills.
Sorry, I know there are peaks and troughs in the evolution of a competition, but would you say the AFL is on the horns of a real crisis financially, some of the clubs? You'd have to be seriously worried about how it's going at this stage.
Yes, Sam, that's a fair comment. I think we've echoed our thoughts on that, as have some clubs, that I think this year we'll have too many clubs posting financial losses, and in a competition that's thriving.
I'll just jump in here, boys, because the Tigers are going to run and kick a goal here. Clinton King swings round onto the right boot, has a flying shot and misses to the near side, and the Tigers move on to 22. The Bombers still struggling.
Anthony Rocker might have been paid that goal in the grand final.
No, to bring up the war. Andrew?
No, Sam, I agree with you, and certainly...
well, you've got to address it somehow, because it's getting worse before it's getting better.
Yeah, I think this year, collectively we'll have... the competition will post significant losses, Sam, and that can't be sustained.
It's interesting talking to the players over in Ireland, Andrew, that many of them are preparing themselves for not just the salary cap to be stabilised, but possibly even to be dropped off, as Callaway goes forward, has a flying shot, but it was almost a fresh air, and the Bombers rebound. Is the salary cap potentially going to be reduced, Andrew?
Well, Gerard, we go into discussions with the Players Association next year for a new agreement, and I'm not sure whether it'll be reduced, but certainly there's a correction happening in the industry, and that will see the increases that we've experienced in the past not as high.
And Andrew, just before we let you go, we appreciate you joining us here today. This whole atmosphere, it's fantastic. We're playing Essendon and Richmond here in London, and of course tomorrow it'll be Australia versus Ireland at Croke Park.
Oh, look, it's a fantastic experience for the young people to get over here, Eddie, all the players, first time that many of them have travelled, and to get something like 12 or 13,000 expats here is fantastic, and I think you'll see tomorrow even a bigger crowd at Croke Park.
Thanks very much, Andrew, for joining us. Andrew Demetrio, the Football Operations Manager of the AFL, joining us on Nine's Wide World of Sport, and of course through Great Britain on Sky Football. It's fantastic to have them on board Sky Sports.
From a club perspective, Ed, do you think that we need to look at this whole how much money that the players have been?
Gerard, don't you underestimate this, and the Players Association want to be very careful that the tail is not wagging the dog, because this competition will cease to be as we know it if they do.
And Gerard, the other thing to take into account is the worldwide trend of sports rights actually coming back these days, as opposed to what has been the trend in football. And when you consider that there's been a few one-offs like the sale of Waverley and the bonanza of the last rights deal, and still football is trading so poorly, then obviously it's pretty simple economics. There's too much money going out, not enough coming in. And I don't think there's any more that's going to come in, so we have to cut the spending, and the biggest expense at the moment is game development, but the biggest one of all is the player payments, and I think a haircut is going to be required.
Well, back to the Oval, it's fair to say that the skills are pretty ordinary, but
a piece of play by, I think, Mark Chaffee then to clear the ball away from the Bomber forward line.
Yeah, I think the intent of the Bomber players has certainly gone up, and we've got a contest.
And there's a contest down there on the forward line.
The West Coast Eagles supporters getting in amongst it. Ball up. Free kick. There's a bit of blocking going on there. It'll go the way of the Tigers. So the Bombers, again, can't take a trick here at the Oval so far.
Well, Simon Hart had his first taste of football, now just coming off to have a look at how it's maybe really done, or he hasn't done a bad job, as a matter of fact.
And he's replaced by Kane Pettifer. They're using the interchange bench pretty regularly. Obviously, a lot of the blokes haven't trained as hard as they could have, and they'll be just trying to spare the midfield and share the duties.
So Bitterscombe has the ball on defensive 40 for the Tigers. He kicks it out wide again, and Clinton King takes the mark. King to centre wing. Houlihan's the man. Good spoil from behind from Rioli. Houlihan does it well. The kick was smothered off the boot. Play on, says the umpire. In fact, he's paid the mark as the handball comes in from Mills. Over to Cameron. Leon Cameron's usually a beautiful kick, and he puts it right through the middle. The crowd love it here at the Oval, and the Tigers get their fourth. So the Bombers have been playing now for 35 minutes of football without being able to score a goal. They're 5 behind. Richmond 4-4-28.
Well, we'll go down to James Hird pretty shortly, because whilst this is an exhibition match, no club wants to be embarrassed, and if the Bombers keep going like this, it's going to get to those levels.
We'll get some thoughts on James Hird. Of course, Kevin Sheedy started the day off bittersweet. His horse Bella's Free, finishing second in the Caulfield Guineas. That $250,000 in prize money made him feel a little bit better about life. However, Bella's Free cleaned up in the straight a couple of times, and unlucky maybe not to win the race with Damien Oliver on board.
Well, the way it's going, Sheeds is going to finish with 2 seconds for the weekend.
Zantuck intercepts again for the Tigers, gets the handball working quickly to Chaffee. Chaffee has a look up forward. Richardson wants it in the pocket. That's where he goes, but it's too far in the pocket on this occasion. Good attempt by Richo, with the ball over the line out of bounds, and Jacobs will take the free kick for Essendon.
It's been a good battle, of course. Richo's got his 3 goals, but Danny Jacobs is also in the one-on-ones. He's probably split the difference.
Oh, look, he has. He's great when they don't deliver the ball properly to Matthew, but he has that great advantage where Jacobs has to second-guess everything Richardson does because he's a forward.
Scotty Lucas paid the diving mark.
One of the great moves this year, I think, was the move of Dean Rioli to the half-back line. He's pushing up into the forward line now and trying to get on the end of it, but it was a move that I think just created a lot of excitement and, of course, creativity for the Bombers.
Hille, very strong mark, and David Hille, obviously somebody who needs to stand up for the Bombers this year. Paul Salmon, there is still talk. We had dinner, Sam, with Paul during the week here in London, and there is some thought he's having a long think about playing football again next year, but I think it would be highly unlikely that he'd pull the boots on again.
Well, he was saying to us, Ed, that ideally he'd like to be part of 8 to 10 games and see if he can stagger his season like that, if that fitted into Essendon's way of thinking. Now, we'll see, just as Hille comes in, we'll see how strong this wind is, because he's 45 metres out. He'll kick from 50, actually.
So Hille comes in, gives it a good roost towards the goal, but it's offline again. And the Bombers, well, they're 6 behind, so that's the equivalent of a goal. And James Hird is with us now on the boundary line. And James, you might have to pull the boots on, mate. They can't buy one, the Bombers, at the moment.
Yeah, the goal kicking hasn't been great. I think the skill level's been a bit disappointing with that wind, is causing the guys a bit of trouble.
You're making that up, James.
Well, no, there's definitely a very strong wind, very slippery, and maybe the week's had a bit to do with it. It's a long flight over here.
What about at half-time, Hirdy? Surely you're not going to go through the first half goalless?
No, I don't think so. There's still a chance, as Richo will take another mark there.
Chance to Richardson, alright, he handballed off to Pettifer. Pettifer missed it altogether. And there's a let-off for the Bombers, Hirdy.
Yes, very much so. Danny Jacobs recovered well, but Richo, I think he was just going for the miracle goal there.
The handball was on, and here's a chance now. The Bombers could make them pay as McGuire gets the kick in, up towards Carousel over his head. Touch play on, said the umpire. Hill gets it out to the acting captain in Smokin' Joe Mercedes. Over the top to McVeigh. McVeigh has got Heffernan on in the pocket, and he finds him. And in the last minute of play here in the second term, the Bombers might be able to get their first goal on the board and make this a contest. Sam Newman.
Well, that was a magnificent kick by Mark McVeigh then, who slung it round, if you like, across his body to Heffernan. And this, I'm tipping this will be a goal. And Matthew Richardson, as Heffernan comes in,
and kicks the ball towards the goal. Hill likes it, goal umpire likes it. Bombers get there first. So welcome back to the Oval. The siren going right on that goal from Heffernan. Bombers first, and it's 1-6-12 at half-time. Richmond 4-4-28. Leading by 16 points. A very opportune goal there coming there, but the Bombers, for all the mucking around, still had 7 scoring shots to 8, so they had plenty of it, just couldn't kick the goals, Gerard, at half time.
I think Sam mentioned Mark McVeigh. He looks like one bloke out there that's going to liven things up. He tried to put a couple of tackles, and a couple of late tackles on in fact, and he has created a little bit of pace in that forward line.
Bombers don't look too concerned at half-time, trailing by 16 points. We'll take a break with Essendon 1-6 to the Tigers 4-4. welcome back to the Oval, where the Bombers, right on the half-time siren, Gerard Healy, were able to kick their first goal of the game. They're 1-4-12, trailing the Tigers, who are playing beautifully at the moment, and the Tigers are in fact 4-4-28. So apologies for that graphic being incorrect there. 1-6-12 to 4-4-28. The margin 16 points at half-time.
Incredibly, there's still a chance. And whilst winning isn't the priority, clearly, of the Bombers, we've seen them smiling a little bit. It is always nice to take away the points, but I reckon the biggest news of the day is that Clinton Casey alluded to, and that is that Richo, we suspect, is going to announce that he's going to sign a long-term deal. And clearly, he's a happy player again. I think he struggled through this season by a little bit of uncertainty. But he has led from the front as captain. He's kicked 3 goals, including one mongrel that went through, Ed. But he's given them a focal point.
He certainly has, and he's such an important part of the whole Richmond setup. I mean, his father, Bull Richardson, of course, this is the mongrel goal you said, but he's been, it's probably been the only real contest of the game, the contest between Danny Jacobs and Richo, and he's enjoying himself, as you said.
Well, we're getting a good chance to see the one-on-one battle. Here's Blake Carosella. This was one of the most extraordinary behinds because this ball was on the line. He just had to let it go, young David Hille, but he just tapped it through just to make sure it was a point.
Gee, I reckon it was a near thing. I reckon it might have been over the line, but the umpire was right there. Not that I've got anything against goal umpires at the moment, but I'll tell you what, I'm questioning every one of their decisions. But the Tigers moved through here. There's some good play again for the Tigers going forward, and Leon Cameron was able to get on the end of this one and put it through for another goal, and it looked like the Tiger was going to pull away until, of course, Richo took a beautiful mark and played on to Kane Pettifer, who was asleep, and they cleared it down the other end, and this was right on half-time.
Yeah, we've had a lot of work to do at half-time to get a highlight up for the Bombers, and there it is, Chris Heffernan, who once again was a player that suffered with osteitis pubis through the year, but he kicked their first goal here at the Oval.
But I think more importantly than anything else, the players are really getting into the spirit of the atmosphere. There's a wonderful buzz coming off the crowd here at the moment, a little bit of Mexican wave going. Yeah, they're all in their different, you look down, you see the Brisbane Lions scarves and Collingwood scarves and all sorts of people. There they are up on the roofs as well, the Aussie flags. Mexican wave starting to happen around here at the moment, and great to just see so many Australians here having a fantastic day on something that is quintessentially Australian, no doubt about it, and it will continue tomorrow, but this time the stakes, Gerard, are a lot more serious. The Australian boys are ready to go against Ireland. The first test from Croke Park. You'll be able to see it on Nine's Wide World of Sports in Dublin from 11:50 tomorrow night. You're the chairman of selectors. How are the boys going?
Well, they've had a really good week, and they've been led well by Gary Lyon, who's he's got his reputation on the line. He was defeated Love 2 last year. There's an expectation that as the touring side will do well, and I think it's going to be terrific that we've got a side that can kick the 6-pointers. Young Stephen Milne and also Nathan Brown look as if they've taken to it pretty well. All
right, Gerard, well, good luck tomorrow night, of course. We're going to get stuck into it over there in Dublin. I can't wait. And there's the half-time score from the Oval. Essendon 1-6-12, trailing the Tigers 4-4-28. Welcome back to the Oval here in London, and fantastic scenes as Sam Newman, the entire members stand up here. The Sarah Cricket Club have never seen anything like it. Women, exposing themselves at you, Sam.
The singing syrup just starting to kick in amongst the die-hard supporters here, Ed.
And there's an unusual sight. There's a happy Carlton supporter at the moment there as Kevin Sheedy comes in to have a bit of a chat to us. And Kevin, welcome aboard. First of all, mate, congratulations on Bella Spree's performance today in Melbourne, finishing second, and just a magnificent run to finish second in the Caulfield Guineas. How are you feeling?
Well, I mean, I like to be playing a little bit better, get a bit more score, but I did have a bit of a look at the race in the end, and cheerio to my kids and everyone in Melbourne.
Yep.
Let's get the scoreline up a little bit, but very courageous horse, a very courageous horse.
I just wanted to talk about the racing because the footy's not that flash at the moment, is it?
Well, we haven't lost yet. You might think we have.
Well, you were meant to come up a fraction earlier. I've got a feeling you've actually taken this to heart, that first half performance.
Well, I thought we could have been at least maybe 4 goals all, but we missed a couple of easy goals, and very, very slippy down there in that centre wicket area, Sam, but you would have been out there for a while.
Do you place any significance?
I do personally.
I haven't asked the question yet. Do you place any significance in a loss here at games like this?
We've only lost 1 out of 9 internationals, so interstate, international games that we played away. So that was here in 1990 against the Magpies.
Exactly. Now, Kevin, what do you try to get out of these games? We were talking about earlier on. It's great camaraderie for the players, and they've been out and about in London and really meeting each other and finding out a lot about it. I was talking to some of the Essendon officials earlier on. Now saying even Terry Daniel was saying he's found out a lot more about some of the personalities of the young guys.
Well, you do. I mean, it's a big trip for some of these boys. I mean, they come away. They haven't played for 6 weeks, some of them, and they've got to get out here and perform and do quite well. And of course, I'd say some of the players that probably playing in a senior appearance for a first time for quite some time, or their first ever. So, I'd like to see the younger players actually at least put their hand up and stay on the list or perform well enough to have a career next year. And
in fairness, you have brought half a dozen or so debutants here today who haven't played.
No, that'll be right. Yeah, that's fair enough. In this
5 or 6.
But, look, I think the 6 weeks or the 5 weeks some of the boys haven't played for. In that regard, is very, very difficult.
The speculation about Blake Carosella, what's happening with him? You're retaining him next year?
It's probably helped us got half the score at the moment, so he's going well.
Well, Kevin, thanks very much for joining us, mate. I know it all starts through with the trade period coming up in the next couple of weeks, but enjoy Bella Spree over this wonderful spring campaign.
He's returned $2 million for 9,000, so if you keep investing that at that rate, you'll be a very wealthy person.
You wouldn't get that out of the bank, would you?
Oh, I'm not going to make a comment.
Good on you, mate. Good on you, Kevin. Kevin Sheedy has left the building. Sam, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back with the second half. Live from the Oval in London, it's Essendon versus Richmond for the AMP Cup. Welcome back as the sunshine breaks through here at the Oval in Kennington in London, and we've got a pretty good game of football about to happen. I feel that we're going to see a far different Essendon side. Kevin Sheedy was quite composed talking to us, Gerard Healy and Sam Newman, but our mail from the room is that Kevin peeled the paint off the walls and told his team in no uncertain manner that they were embarrassing themselves, that they'd come halfway around the world to make fools of themselves, and he didn't want any part of it. So I think we might see the Bombers starting to really lift in this second half as they come onto the ground now.
Yeah, I think there'll be some fireworks. He did go Coco Banana down there, and not surprising, as he said, he has been one of the great preachers of taking the game to the world, and there's no point going around the world and playing to embarrass yourself, so expect some fireworks.
James Hurd joins us now. James, you've just come out of the dressing rooms, and our spies down there tell us that Kevin laid down the law in no uncertain terms.
Yeah, that's right, Eddie. He fired up. I've seen him fire up a few times. That was one of his best. I think his main message was exactly what you guys said. He's given a few young guys an opportunity, and they really need to pay him back, and you do come all the way around the world. You've got to perform, and you don't put out performances like that.
And flattered, really, the Bombers to actually have a goal on the board, because Matthew Richardson just should have gone back and kicked rather than hand passing off to Kane Patterson, Jim.
Yeah, he should have, Sam, that's right. But as the crowd gets into it, the crowd at the Oval loves it. They're going off, but that's what it's all about today, the crowd and footy. But a few missed opportunities by both teams.
And James, great to see the Richmond boys got some of the old footies and booted it into the crowd, and the umpire actually kicked it into the crowd as well, and as a result this bloke has grabbed the footy and is about to be nabbed by the plod and sent over the fence. There he goes. Well done.
I think the great thing is the interaction between the crowd, the players and everybody. It's pretty relaxed and enjoyable.
Oh, now hang on. Oh, at the other end. If we can get a wide shot, this bloke, have a look at this. Stay with it.
He's going to get away. There he goes.
Melbourne supporter, I think, by the look of him.
Yes,
he'll have to be debarred from the Melbourne club once they get his name and number.
Yes, I think he'll be going home in the back of the divvy van, as they say, at Bay 13 at the MCG. But yeah, some of the security here not quite understanding maybe the fun of the fair that's happening.
No, they ejected one particular gentleman at half time, and they got the rounds of the kitchen by the crowd. That may well have been the guy that had a chat to Gary Ayres late in the season.
But in fairness, security is the name of their game, and they're told to keep patrons off the ground. And I tell you what, there's more Foster's been drunk here today, I reckon, than there's been the last month.
I think it'll be more than not just the Essendon side. They'll be fired up in the second half, and it'll be interesting to see now that the sun's come out. There just may be a few bets going on, and well, we might see the all over town of a few dashing across the Oval, I reckon, in the next hour or so of football.
Will we screen them, Ed? Will we screen them if they do?
You be the judge, Sam.
Right, well be on. Stay tuned.
Maybe you, Sam. This is one of the few TV appearances in the last 12 months that you've actually kept your pants on.
Thank you.
Well, here we go in the second half. Paul Barnard is Rapoyes there. There's Chaffee, who's had a pretty good couple of seasons. Mark Chaffee, formerly of Caulfield Grammar, taken a pick number 35 in the 96 draft. Played all 22 games in 2001, had a fantastic year, and 2002 was a pretty good one for him as well. As we get underway again in the second half, third quarter underway at the Oval in London, and the Bombers far more committed from the opening bounce. Mark Bullen applying a pretty good tackle, have another bounce in the middle of the ground.
Yeah, he plotted on Mark Coughlin, who continues his good form. He's just a quality kid. And in the middle of the ground, they've now got Duncan Callaway, who has never taken a backward step in his life. He's like an emu, just cannot do it. Clinton King, here's another one who's just in and under. And Coughlin. So they've got three goals in there, but this bloke, as you said, Sam, has single-handedly kept the Bombers competitive.
Yeah, Dean Rioli playing very good football.
Heffernan around the body, up towards full forward, punched away there from Lucas. Number 37 was Bullen, couldn't quite drag it in. Umpire will bounce some 35-40 metres out from the Essendon goal. So already the Bombers showing far better credentials in the second half than they did for most of the first half.
I was just looking at Richo at the other end of the ground. We may be able to get a shot of him, but he was actually just conversing with the crowd. The ball is 150 metres away, but the concentration not up to standard at the moment.
Tivendale gets the kick out wide. Here's Pettifer, who takes the mark and dashes away. Runs the defensive 50, bounce it went forward. It's hard to do that. Pettifer kicks up towards Ottens, who hasn't had the greatest of days, but decides to pull one out right when it's needed. Now he swings onto the right boot, kicks it up the full forward. Richardson's there. Zantuck from behind, but Richo does it beautifully. Stands tall. He's kicked 3 goals, and he can kick his 4th from point-blank range.
Top mark. He had 2 players to beat there. The Bombers are dropping an extra player back on Richo, and he didn't scrag and he didn't push in the back. He just stood tall and took a great mark.
Matthew Richardson comes in for goal number 4 from point-blank range. He's kicked it. The acting captain in sensational form in London. So the Tigers get the first goal of the third quarter and skip away to a 22-point lead. Matthew Richardson set to sign with the Tigers an extended contract. That story exclusively broken today by Clinton Casey, the president of the Richmond Football Club. Tiger fans and members expect something in the mail next week that will gladden the heart, particularly on today's form. Gerard Healy, 4 goals, and he's certainly been the man of the match so far.
He's been a star. It's hard to believe he was not in the senior team midway through the season.
I was just going to say, what a huge turnaround. A month or a half a year is a long time in anyone's life, because he was persona non grata actually a couple of months ago, and now they can't fall over him enough.
And good to see number 42 there for Tiger fans. Keep an eye on him. That is Simon Hart, the son of Royce Hart. As I said earlier, had shoulder problems throughout the year, but looks a likely type at the moment, Gerard, getting plenty of the ball.
Yeah, he knows how to get it, Ed. The disposal under pressure is yet to be tested, but once again, the disposal of the Bombers letting themselves down. But Danny Jacobs, he just showed the skills that he's got there in that one passage of play. Thank you, Danny. As he hit the Richmond player right on the chest.
And as he's looking the wrong way, Richardson takes the mark in front of him.
Yeah, yes, there's 2 monumental errors just as the words were stopping in the box. You can see what a talented player he is.
This is turning into a circus. Here's Rodan, gets the handball to an Essendon opponent who steps over the line. That's Scott Howard, originally from Aberfeldy, played with the Calder Cannons and Essendon Grammar, on the rookie list, 19 years of age, 188 centimetres, so he's got a bit of height.
How would you be, Sam, an expat Aussie trying to explain this game to a Londoner at the moment?
Well, there's so many grey areas in our game of rules, Gerard, but I tell you what, it's okay. It's pretty entertaining.
It's very entertaining.
That's Ken Hall for Essendon from Hobart. Played 1 game last year against Hawthorn. Getting a kick away, the ball over the line now to bounce. I think what you'd be just doing is saying, here, have another one of these. It's called a Foster's.
And
just enjoy it.
The 2 rookies now playing on one another. Scott Howard for the Bombers playing on Simon Hart. Hart playing down in the forward pocket for the Tigers.
Barnard over the top for Essendon. Duncan Callaway crashes through. The emu, as Gerard calls him. Tumble punt forward, and a beautiful mark has been taken there by Welsh. Good player, Andrew Welsh. showed a bit for the Bombers throughout the season.
The emu, Gerard, the significance being?
They can't walk backwards. Like a kangaroo, Sam, they can't go backwards either, can they?
Can't fly either.
That's why they're on the coat of arms. Never
take a backward step. There you go. All those Aussies out there listening to Sky Sport. For the English people, they're going, what the hell are these blokes on about? Carosella kicks forward. Lucky bounce on this occasion for Lucas. Gets the handball into Henneman. It's pretty slippery out there, as you can see. Crashing through there was Hall. Bombers just can't buy a goal as Bowden takes the mark on the last line of defence.
Here he is again.
Hart. Showing plenty of it too. To Bowden. Thumping kick up the wing. The Tigers have got the numbers here if they can pick it up, and they do. Edney underneath the ball. Ottens now runs onto it. Looking for the handball. Just gets it away nicely. Tivendale with a left foot kick, but a strong mark taken by Corey McGuire, who's certainly shown something this afternoon.
Yeah, and he had a disappointing year, Ed. I thought after 2001 that he may have just propelled himself to a certainty on the senior list, but had some injuries, didn't get a lot of games this season, and he is one player that Kevin Shirley will be looking to next year to push hard for senior selection regularly.
Just looking at Matthew Richardson, he's holding his knee. I'm not putting any alarm into anyone, but he's not happy with his knee at the minute. And he wasn't happy with that kick from Brad Ottens. He said, kick it in the air, mate. I can take it if you just do that to me.
Good tackle from Rioli. Coughlin's been busy for the Tigers. The ball spills for Poyas. He's tackled from behind by Blumfield. He has a second go at it. Carosella throws him to the ground on this occasion. Have a look at that. Joel Bowden just falling over the top.
Well, there's no doubt the intensity of the Bombers have gone up. They haven't done much better on the scoreboard, but the intensity is clear. And have a look at Blumfield and Carosella together, dragging Poyas down.
Umpire throws it up. Henneman over the top for the Bombers. Blumfield overruns the ball. Poyas steps over the line. We'll have a throw in.
Just looking at Matthew Richardson. He's had the trainer out to that knee. That'd be handy if he did his knee in this final game of the year, wouldn't it?
Don't even mention it, Sam.
No, I'll take it back.
Henneman thumps it forward. But once again, Bowden across the full back line. Takes the ball, looks up, wants to hit a target. And does. Pettifer. Kane Pettifer. Thumping kick up towards Ottens. Ottens comes out, one grab, couldn't quite hold it. Off the hands of the pack was Hart. Hart kicks the centre half forward. Cameron wants to get it moving quickly and does to Tivendale from outside the 50. It's a thumping kick. He's put it through. A magnificent goal to Greg Tivendale, and the Tigers go further ahead. Welcome back to the Oval as the Tigers go further ahead. 6-5-41 to 1-6-12. The Tigers over the Bombers.
They haven't kicked a legitimate goal yet, the Bombers.
No, they haven't. They haven't, indeed. Here's Heffernan, who did kick their first goal, but only came as a result of Richo's mistake up on the other end of the ground. But the Tigers here could blow them out of the park.
They certainly have come to play. We said that before the game. If you could have got on at William Hill, we would have on the Tigers, no doubt about that. Unfortunately, we couldn't. The Bombers through Bullen now. High tackle on Coughlin. Umpire called play on. Ball spills out, almost a throw. Umpire's called play on as Hart has a flying shot at the goal. He's kicked another one. Umpire's going to bring it back, is he? All clear, it's a goal. Welcome back, and the Tigers are now starting to make this really look like an exhibition. 7-5-47 to 1-6-12, and Sam, what about the Tiger fans as Hart kicks one from outside 50?
No, it's fantastic, Ed, and we don't want to take it too seriously as far as the Bombers go, but there must be a stage when Kevin Sheedy thinks, now this is not good for our club, this.
Well, I think that stage was reached about the 25-minute mark of the second quarter.
Yeah. As Ed said, there was only one scoring shot the difference at half-time, but it is now a bit of a blowout, you'd have to suggest.
35 points the difference, as you can see. We have been playing for nearly 11 minutes in the third term, and the Tigers could be well taking home the AMP trophy to Punt Road.
It's a bit of a gamble, though, when you go on board these exhibition matches. If you do get a thumping and you're going away together, Sam, what do you do if you are the coach and you are the captain? We might find out from James Hurd shortly.
Hille goes up. A few of these young Bombers, though, playing for their spot on the list. Good play. Takes the mark, and Barnard's got the mad stare up, and he'll line up from about 15 metres out, slight angle.
This should be just a regulation kick. 20 metres out. Experienced campaigner Paul Barnard.
So Paul Barnard to kick Essendon's second goal. He comes in and has kicked a goal. So we're just waiting for the ball to come back from the crowd. It might take a little bit longer than normal to get it back. A few souvenir hunters. As the Tigers 7-5-47 lead Essendon 2-6-18. Paul Barnard getting the Bombers second, 12 minutes into the third term.
And often a goal can inspire just a mini run, Gerard. Let's just see now. The security have just drifted into the crowd to see if they can get the Sharon back. I'm tipping it's in the back of a panel van on the way into East Cheam.
Souvenir.
Umpire Martin Ellis puts the Sharon down. Free kick going the way of the Tigers for in the back. So the Bombers need to get the next couple just to make a game of this.
They're off to Prague, I think, Ed, tomorrow. So they're going to spend a fair bit of time together. It'll be a marvellous experience.
Edney, free kick to Zantuck. And Ty Zantuck being used forward. Danny Frawley just having a look at him. He's had a very good season, Ty. Took a bit of a dive on that occasion.
Adam Houlihan coming onto the ground just to get another run.
Interesting. The lads going down to Prague, are they, Ed? Essendon, did you say?
Yeah, they're off to Prague.
Interesting.
But that's the question. If you come here and you do get a belting, do you train together? Do you have to make amends? Do you redeem yourself somehow training in a trip away? But the Tigers have kicked another goal.
Zantuck. So the Tigers hit back 8-5-53 to Essendon 2-6-18. We've been going 14 and a quarter minutes in this, the third term of the AMP Cup, brought to you live on the 9 Network from London. The Bombers through Ken Hall go forward for one of their rare forays into the attacking 50, but again it's the Tigers rebounding through Tivendale. His kick is up towards Zantuck, who comes out at full steam to grab the ball. Rodan just picked the pocket beautifully, went back in a second time, knocked it out towards Zantuck, who flicks it out further afield to Edney. Edney on the right foot kicks it up towards the full forward position. Richardson just got lost in the sunshine, but he got another hand on it. It spills out wide to Newman, who has a magnificent shot and kicks another goal. The Tigers are on fire in London.
Well, it's a great goal, though. As you said, Richo, he couldn't see the ball until the last second. It was obviously coming, was trapped in the sunshine, and he finally put his hands up, which created the spillage, and the young kid kicked it round the corner. And he shows a lot of potential, Chris Newman.
And that came from also David Rodan doing some very good follow and tap-on work through the centre of the ground. So they are, as we said in the opening 30 seconds of this game, Gerard, I said they're desperately clinging on to any vestige of competition here, the Bombers, and it's proven to be the case.
41 points of difference, the Tigers in front. Hille tries to make amends for the Bombers. Picked up by McVeigh, shoots the handball out, missed the target by about 3 metres. Heffernan stuck his head over the top of it and caught one high and will get a free kick.
It has had a very big week though, Mark McVeigh.
You did tell us that you had dinner with Paul Salmon on the Thursday, just waiting to know how things went with Tony Blair on the Wednesday.
Beautiful mark taken by Hille from Heffernan's kick, and the Bombers should be able to get their third from point blank range, only 10 metres out.
He's still an exciting talent. A lot of people say that this is where the Bombers have got to find some players, and they do, but I suspect it's only going to be a short-term fix because this kid has got enormous potential, Sam.
And he's about to kick the Bombers' third goal, and that'll put them about 29 points back, I think, of the Tigers.
Hille comes in and slots it through. Bombers get their third. So a 35-point margin now as Essendon, through David Hille, get their third goal on the board. Tigers, though, lead 9-5-59 to 3-6-24. We've been playing 17 and a half minutes in this third term. 20-minute quarters, no time on in this game this afternoon. So the Tigers well placed with a handy lead going into the last quarter. Bombers need to quickly get one here to have any chance, you think, of stealing this cup away from Punt Road. Umpire will come in and bounce again in the middle of the ground.
If you had to do a synopsis on David Hille, Sam, where would you start, and what would you concentrate on over the summer?
I would concentrate on his aerobic power, his fitness, because it's like when you ask someone to teach you how to play tennis, they say first of all get fit so you can get to the ball in time, and then you can show what skill you got.
This bloke's got some skill. David Rodan, beautiful kick up forward. Richardson's the man, wrestling, couldn't quite grab the ball. Jacobs kept his feet, ball over the line and out of bounds for a throw in.
But he does need to step up to the plate, because as we said about Paul Salmon over dinner, Paul, if wanted to be used by Kevin Sheedy, thought he'd be good for about 8 to 10 games, and someone like Hille must now take over the mantle, or his career would be going nowhere, you'd think.
Newman does it beautifully up towards Richardson, punched away by Jacobs. Here's a chance for Houlihan for the Tigers. Richo wants it in the pocket. He floats one high. It's close to the boundary line. Back over the line and out of bounds on the full. The Bombers will take the free kick in the back pocket. Free kick going to Ken Hall. Kicks it across the goals. Good play, good transferal of play. Another first gamer in Adam Winter. Winter from defensive 45. Thumping kick up the wing. Rogers read the ball far better in the air. And the young fella Davies just put the knees in just to let him know he was still there. Rogers getting the call from Richardson to kick it long. He decides to go wide out towards Royce Vardy, who brings it into Poyas. Poyas now kicks it up towards full forward. Richardson again, but his hands on the ball, couldn't quite hold it. Has a good second effort. Tackled, not dragged down to the ground though. Gets it out to Newman, who crashes through. Now the Bombers. That was a throw from McGuire. Play on, said the umpire. Clinton King, deft little handball, got it out to Cameron. He has a flying shot. Jacobs just touches it on the line. Through for a rush behind. 9-6-60 the Tigers. Essendon a 3-6-24. And we're just about at three-quarter time here at the Oval in London.
They've been completely bombarded. The Bombers, there's no way they can win this game, so now they've got to hang on. Forster
Knight thrown to the ground. No 15, said the umpire, and Jacobs had to come to save the day.
Prague didn't know they were going to get an exhibition of AFL football, Sam, but I suspect there might be a couple of training sessions in Prague.
I think the Cold War might be on at three-quarter time when Kevin Sheedy gets out to have a chat to these Essendon players, because there is the three-quarter time siren, and the Bombers have got plenty of work to do here at the Oval in London if they're going to keep what is a pretty impressive overseas record intact. 9 wins from 10 games. Their only loss in 1990 in a replay of the grand final to Collingwood. But here today, it's the Tigers, 9-6-60, leading Essendon 3-6-24 by 6 goals. Back to the Oval, and it's been all happening at three-quarter time, and this gentleman, as you can see, has done the full Monty. He's done the big streak and a big cheerio to his mum and dad back home in Australia.
What you going to say? No, big cheerio it is, if you like to call it a cheerio. And exciting as we get back to the football, the Bombers trailing by 6 goals.
So we're nearly ready to start this final term, as we had a couple of people have a few incursions onto the ground there. James Hurd's at the boundary line, and well, he had a very close eye on proceedings here, James.
Very close. That was the 15th streaker for the day, and look, he was the best by far. Great performance.
Have you heard it called a cheerio before, Jones?
No, it's a big cheerio. I've never heard it called that before. That's a new term over here. It's apparently called a cheerio.
Oh, very good.
Sending his love back to mum and dad. There you go. Well, the first streak, we had a few blokes on the field taking on the security guards, but I told you, I did tip it now that the sunshine had come on, that we'd see a bit more of our countrymen in the old dart.
We're claiming him, Eddie, are we?
Well, he's in good nick, so we'll take him. 6 goals the difference. Kevin Sheedy's had a mixed day today. Of course, Bellisbury finishing second in the Caulfield Guineas at the Heath. And the Bombers, though, are getting their pants pulled down, literally. Here at the Oval, out comes Richardson. Couldn't quite hold the mark. The ball comes to ground. Forster Knight for the Bombers. Retrieves his own kick, gets it out to Rioli. Good play. Rioli looks up, out to Blumfield. Off his chest. Tigers through Poyas. Flicks the ball out. Coughlin. Got the handball going. Tigers going again. Richardson. Having a real go today, Richo, no doubt about it. He's enjoying his football, as you said before. Davies was a bit slow with the handball. It finally came out. Bombers try to invent something up the members' wing here at the Oval. Masidi hasn't had a whole lot of it, but that was a nice little touch.
I think quite seriously, Ed, Matthew Richardson has taken the fact that he's the captain of the mighty Tigers to heart.
Hill fell over at the inopportune moment. A fresh air from Barnard. Tigers work it out. Duncan Kellaway. This could go anywhere. On this occasion, it was a good one, though. Houlihan marks a defensive 50. He's got Ottens on in the middle of the ground. That's where he goes. Ottens will come out and meet the ball, but good play there by Ken Hall, who took the mark. Played on. Oh, beautiful kick to Barnard, and the Bombers have got the first of the final turn. Goal. So a pensive Kevin Sheedy, Terry Danaher, Kevin Morris, Kevin Egan in the background as well, as the Bombers get their fourth goal and trail by 5.
And Paul Barnard joins that exclusive Bomber club today, their only multiple goal kicker.
It's a good effort by Ken Hall, though. Just a couple of little things he's done today. He's suggested he's got plenty of potential. He's had just one game for the Bombers. He comes from Hobart. And who knows, we may be seeing a lot more of him next year.
Barnard, as Sam said, has kicked 2 goals for Essendon, and this time his handball was intercepted by Poyas. Poyas gets onto the right boot, kicks it up towards the half-forward flank position. Good play by Welsh. Got the handball out, though, but Edney intercepted. Away go the Tigers again. Royce Vardy has the ball in his hands. He kicks it up towards Richardson, wrestling with Jacobs. Good play by Richardson. Good play by Jacobs in the end. Oh, look at this from Richardson. Invented something. Couldn't quite find the goal, though. Through for a behind.
Tomorrow, Ed, you'll be calling the international between Australia and Ireland. You're going to be working with the Irish commentators. Is bias allowed to come into it?
Mate, if people think I get revved up calling the Collingwood games, wait till I get over to Croke Park and call Australia versus Ireland. It's going to be on, I can tell you. And so long as the boys put on a big performance, we'll be able to get very excited. I'll be calling with Ger Kenning from Ireland, and it's going to be a wonderful night on Nine's Wide Water Sport. Make sure you join us tomorrow night from 11:50 p.m. As the ball forward again, here's a chance for the Bombers to make the score respectable. Carosella knocked it back, good play. Ted Richards slides in underneath the pack, trying to get it out to Henneman. Will have a bounce 30 metres out from the Essendon goal.
Well, there's no doubt the Bombers are just throwing everything they've got at them. Richmond, I think, they've just been surer with their hands. They've been better through the middle of the ground, and I think the result is clear on the scoreboard. But Kevin Sheedy's had plenty to say, obviously, at half-time, and he's got some response, although the scoreboard's still not all that flash.
At the last stoppage, Gerard, 14 Essendon players had their hands on their hips, and only 5 of the Richmond players. What does it tell us?
Why don't we ask James Hurd? Hurdy, as McGuire goes round the corner and hits a Tiger on the chest. Hurdy, 3/4 time. Kevin Sheedy's thoughts?
Yes, thanks, Gerard. I was pretty excited, but philosophical nevertheless. Back to you.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, Gerard.
There's Joe Masudi once again. Well, he could have got cleaned up as Coughlin came through, and he has meant business all day. And he's a quality young kid, as is David Rodan, who had to receive his papers to become an Australian citizen during the week, so he could leave the country.
Tigers go forward again, up towards the half-forward flank. Ottens does it beautifully, kept on running, little chip forward in front of the player. Running into the open goal is Richardson. Nice little play, handball's out wide. Duncan Kellaway didn't want to have the kick, got the handball further away. Tivendale has to come back on his left boot. Now he does, opens up the angle and kicks the goal. Welcome back to the Oval. Tivendale kicks the goal for the Tigers. They're well on top and leading by 37 points.
Yeah, and it's back in the middle, and well, really important now for Essendon just to hold their form, because the Tigers look like they're on the march, and this kid Sam is most impressive. He's just a hard worker, gets tough possessions but lays it off, and they're just charging through. They're hungry.
Was Aaron Henneman in the ruck then? Did I see him against Brad Ottens? That's a good man.
Ball being centred now once again, and here's a kid who has done pretty well. Winter, who hasn't played for the Bombers yet. He's on debut. He gets the ball forward, and Masiti has just lined it up. And here's Mark McVeigh, who has had a fair crack since coming onto the ground. He goes forward and kicks a goal for the Bombers.
So Mark McVeigh gets a goal for Essendon. Danny Frawley joins us, the Richmond coach. Danny, welcome aboard.
Yeah, look, it's been a good contest from our boys, and how we going there? Is it working?
Better. Yeah, magnificent.
Good on you. Yeah, look, it's a pretty good contest out there, and I agree with Gerard. Coglin's been a good find for the Tigers this year, and he looks like being a player that we've really needed over the last couple of years.
Danny, there's no doubt that your club has come here to play far more than Essendon and has resulted on the scoreboard. You'd be pretty happy with things, wouldn't you?
Yeah, look, both sides' preparations wouldn't be ideal, but look, we had a very quiet night last night because it's been a terrific effort from the AFL to bring two teams over. At the end of the day, you've got to give something back, and we just wanted to make sure we can give our supporters back home, and more importantly, supporters here, something to cheer about, because we've had one of those very ordinary years.
And was it your decision, obviously, to make Matthew Richardson the captain, because he's taken it to heart, Danny?
Oh, look, he's a great player for us.
Hang on, Danny, because he's going to kick a goal.
Look, he's just about signed up, which is great news for me. I think I'll be able to sleep pretty well tonight. And look, he's got great leadership potential, Sam. I think he's really turned the corner since halfway during the year.
Well, you turned it for him. You suggested that he better get his mind and his attitude into gear, and maybe he responded beautifully for you.
Look, he did take his medicine like a man. I think he responded manfully, and that's all you can do in football. If you make a mistake, you've got to learn from it. I think he's done that.
Well, he's the captain today, as you said, Danny. He looks like he's about to put pen to paper to sign a long-term contract with the Tigers, and he's kicked his 5th goal this afternoon at the Oval. Things have certainly turned for Matthew Richardson.
They certainly have, Ed, and as I said, I think I'll sleep pretty well tonight. I think there's only a minor thing to be done with his contract, and it's something I think all supporters from the Tigers should be really happy with, and it's a great bit of news.
Just put another nought on the end of it. That would be the minor thing, and then we're bombs away.
I don't worry about those things, Sam. I just try and coach the boys.
And Tigers going forward again. Ty Zantuck, who's playing forward today. Danny, any thoughts on that? He had a great year playing mainly out of the back pocket.
Look, we've tried a couple of things today. I think Joel Bowden down back's been good. I think Ty up forward, he really does give us a contest. He played really well against the Bulldogs, but kicked 1 goal 5. So if he can improve his goal kicking, he's a hard match-up because he's 6'2" and he's really quick.
Now look, tell us this. We are nervous about today's game. Is there any reflection on you or the club if you come over here and get a spanking?
Look, I suppose when you ever put your foot out in the ground in front of national television and more importantly supporters, that's great play from the goal, isn't it?
It was.
Oh yeah, don't
Don't worry, that's happened before this afternoon.
But Sam, I think every club tries to sell their brand as best they can. I think we really want to try and put our best foot forward and show the supporters that this year we really aren't happy with it, and probably our pre-season started today.
Brad Ottens is another one who's struggled a bit today, but he's played a role for you across the half-forward line. You look as if you've just said to them, just get the ball into the tall timber rather than mucking around, and I think you may have got lost through the middle of the season trying to be, I guess, too complicated in the approach.
Yeah, I think you're right, Joe. I think you're in the box today against Essendon. Actually, the first half was probably the worst bit of football we've played since I've been there, and we did try and get our structure going. I think when we get Greg Stafford, who's just about signed as well, and Ray Hall out there, we're still going to have some strengths.
And the club chatting to Wayne Britton about coming on board.
Look, there is an option there. I think that Greg Hutchison's going to have a role in the football manager sides. I think Greg Miller's been a very, very good acquisition for our club, and something that's been sorely missed in my short time at the club. And I think Wayne Britton, his record is terrific. I think it's a feather in his cap that 5 clubs have been asked to speak to Wayne. And I think that you don't see too many senior coaches who sort of get the heave-o and you get 5 clubs looking at him. I think it's a credit to him.
Good on you, Danny, and a credit to your club today, because it looks like you're going to win the AMP International Trophy for season 2002.
Wasn't quite the one we were looking for, Ed, but we'll take it.
We'll take anything at the moment. They're hard to come by, the silverware in AFL football. Danny Frawley, the coach of the Tigers, the boy from Bungaree, and now he's an international superstar, coaching the Tigers to victory this afternoon. Thanks, Danny, for joining us as Zantuck goes up and takes a very strong mark. Tigers go forward again, up towards Royce Vardy, another strong mark. They're enjoying themselves now, the Tigers.
Yes, they're starting to layer eyes in.
Pettifer, thumping kick up towards Richardson. Did it very well, Richardson against Jacobs. Kevin Sheedy obviously giving Danny Jacobs a bit of work to do today as Richo takes the ball to the boundary line for a throw-in.
It's been the best battle. I think it's been the highlight of the match, the Jacobs versus Richardson. And Richo, he just looks a new man.
And he's still limping, Gerard. Still limping more now.
He may be coming from the ground, Sam.
It's fantastic to see such a big crowd here, as you can see on the rooftops right around the oval here, and the overlooking buildings, people really getting exciting, enjoying the football. It hasn't been the greatest game of all time, but it's a spectacle. It's a lot of fun, and David Rodan wants to put a bit of excitement into the game. Takes the ball to the boundary line for a throw-in right behind the behind post as Richardson comes off the ground. And there you can see some of the buildings right around the place, people on top of roofs, any vantage point, and a very, very good crowd in here today. I reckon there'll be about 13,000 people in for the match here at the Oval.
Now go on, James, go down and ask Matthew Richardson what's wrong with his knee. You're a boundary rider, so go on, just go into the other camp.
You already know, mate. He's just got a bit of a corky. Happened about 5 minutes into that quarter, and he'll be fine.
Hurdy, what about Prague? Obviously, Sheeds isn't going to be happy with the result. Do we just forget about it, or is there going to be
recriminations?
There'll be no recriminations. You're going to forget about a loss, but after this game, it is the guys' time off, and they've been they've had a big season. I think that you can't really have a go at them on their footy trip, and Prague will just be about having a good time and relaxing rather than thinking about this game too much.
And James, without looking for excuses, the Tigers did have a pretty strong side in today, whereas yours was not the strongest team that Essendon's put out on the paddock for a fair while.
Yeah, well, on paper they had a much better side, and that doesn't always go to plan. But today, Richmond played a lot better footy. I'd have to say they look more committed to the game than we have, and it's panned out accordingly. And congratulations to them.
Now, down at ground level, what's the feeling like? It's a great atmosphere, isn't it?
It's going off, mate. It is absolutely sensational. There's beer cans being thrown on the ground. I think there's been about 20 streakers so far. We've lost 8 balls, and look, as they say, footy is the winner. It's a great time to be here.
Bloke who dived into the square lost his.
What's that?
Yeah.
Beautiful mark taken by Houlihan. Now, Hille gets up. He might have hurt himself, Hille. James, just keep an eye on that one there. Your teammate in Hille coming off there. It looked like he hurt his wrist.
No, he's keeping on going. He looks like he's fine. He just copped the whack to the face, I think.
He's okay. All right. Well, the ball spills out to Winter. Winter kicks inside 50, but no one home. Bowden, the other one there for the Tigers, who takes the mark.
I was going to say the winter of discontent, but that would be trying to take over the mantle of our great friend from Perth.
Dennis Committee. Pittiscombe at half-back flank for the Tigers. Played about 14 minutes in the final term here at the Oval. The Tigers are going to win it. Chaffey takes a mark in what has been a wonderful day for not only Australian sport, but Australian culture as well. We'll lack of it. Culture with a capital K.
Yes, there aren't too many Australians in England at the moment that aren't here.
Yeah, it's been a great fun day though. Wonderful to see all the expats over here wearing their footy jumpers and their scarves and really getting amongst it all through the week. But we've been here, so many people have come up to me and said how they watched the grand final from the various pubs, getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and they're really just enjoying themselves. And I hope you're enjoying it as well at home in Australia. Don't forget tomorrow night at 11:50 it's Australia versus Ireland in the international rules, and while this has been a bit of a hit and giggle game, tomorrow it is on for young and old. You do not pull on the coat of arms of Australia and don't give anything but 100%.
No, they've trained really well this week, Ed, and had a look at the Irish train yesterday, and they weren't all that impressed that we turned up to their training. It was all right for them to go and have a look at our match, but they didn't like us being at training.
What did they do? Did they try to kick you out?
Well, they basically just think it's their right to be able to train without anybody having a look, but fair enough. They didn't try and kick us out, but they let us know in no uncertain terms that they were filthy about it.
Beautiful mark by Zantuck, shows the ball, handballs over to Rodan, and Rodan kicks another one for the Tigers. So welcome back to the closing stages of what has been a fantastic game of football here. Not so much as far as for the purists of the game, but as far as the spectacle's been concerned and the atmosphere of the crowd, it's been a wonderful day for Australian football as Rodan decides to ignite the crowd again with a beautiful handball off to Edney, over to Clinton King. He runs inside, he'll have a shot here. Clinton King, he's run a mile, and the umpire has said he's done just that. Would have been a mark right on the goal line to tie Zantuck, but the umpire has pinged King, and the ball will come back. Joe Mercedes will take the free kick.
Matter of interest, Gerard, how has the weather been in Dublin?
First 2 days were fantastic, Sam. The last 2 days it hasn't stopped raining.
Does it affect our skill with the round ball, or is it about even
Probably
once all that starts?
No, I think it'll probably affect their skill a little bit more. We struggle with the round ball, obviously, and we're going to keep it pretty basic as the Bombers try and get one late in the match.
Yes, they've been struggling with the oval ball this afternoon. Over the line and out of bounds for a throw-in. Deep in the attacking zone of the Bombers, who trail by 43 points. And the AMP Cup is on its way to Punt Road.
He could well go down as a new Kevin Bartlett. If he is within 30 metres of goal, he'll be having a fly.
From the throw-in, McVeigh did well. Look at that for a goal. Hille! Magnificent soccer goal off the ground to the inside of the boot. So David Hille kicks a freak goal and then comes off the ground. His day over at the Oval in London. He's kicked 2 goals. Barnard's kicked 2 and singles to McVeigh and Heffernan for the Bombers. While the star of the day has certainly been the acting Richmond captain and set to sign an extended contract with the Tigers, Matthew Richardson, who has 5 goals. Rodan, Tivendale, Newman, Zantuck, Hart, Cameron, the other goal kickers for the Tigers. But the Bombers go forward again. They're going to get another one here.
Yeah, Heffernan just lobbed another one, and this is what they needed, just a bit of respectability to finish off the match with something. Nobody wants to go away from a game where you are embarrassed, because then you've got some repercussions. But the Bombers have produced in the last half, and I think Kevin Shirley will be satisfied with all of that.
Heffernan gets his 2nd goal as well.
And here it is, Sam, take us through it.
Just a kick to position, really, into the front of the square, and shepherded back, of course. And I don't think Kevin Sheedy would be happy even with this late run, because this is junk time now. The Bombers have decided to try, as you said, to get some respectability, but the Tigers have shut up shop, mate.
Tigers by 31 points late in the game. Another bounce. So we're coming down to the closing seconds of what has been a very entertaining game of football at the Oval in London. Have a look at that. Plenty of Fosters being consumed. Everyone having a great time.
I think most that have turned up here just wanted to just to see a game of footy, see a specky, see a big goal kicked, and they've seen all of that.
Cheer a streaker, we had it all. And there's the siren, and the Tigers are the AMP International Champions of 2002 with a resounding victory. 7-6, 48 Essendon have been defeated by Richmond 12-7, 79. And they are running on left, right and centre now. Beautiful bit of play in the forward pocket by a man wearing a Williamstown jumper.
This is the AFL version of Pamplona.
Yeah.
No, they're keeping them back. They're going to earn their money, the security. Here they come.
I think it's just started, Sam. It is the floodgate.
Go to the payoffs. Go home, boys.
Here they come.
Yeah, I think it's all over now. They may as well let everybody on the field now. A happy Tiger, and well he may be too, because the Tigers have won by 31 points. Thanks mainly to Matthew Richardson, who kicked 5 goals.
That's the mentality of it all. Gerard, a fully grown man, has brought a stuffed tiger to the football and stuck it in front of the camera.
Well, each to their own, Sam, but as Eddie said, they'd be all pretty happy the Tiger supporters.
They will indeed, because they've defeated Essendon 12-7, 79 to 7-6, 48. We'll be back with the presentation of the AMP Cup right after the break.
Come on! Come on!
Welcome back to the Oval. Fantastic scenes here as the Tigers 12-7, 79 have defeated Essendon 7-6, 48. The Bombers kicking 4 goals in the final term to add a little bit of respectability to the scoreline. But boys, we may as well lose that graphic because it's all happening behind us down. It's just wonderful scenes. So many people here, Sam, and a fantastic atmosphere.
Well, I tell you what, we were a bit disappointed at the start of the game with the crowd, but it was just about capacity, and they've had a fantastic day here and drunk more grog than you could poke a stick at.
Just looking over Wayne Jackson, the AFL Chief Executive, up on the balcony. He's got a a grin like a split watermelon over there. He's really enjoyed it. It's a wonderful scene, and great to see Matthew Richardson. We spoke about Richo all day today. Clinton Casey telling us there he is, ready to accept the AMP trophy in a few moments' time. Kicking 5 goals, really leading from the front, and it's not the grand final, Gerard, not by a long way, but it is something that these guys will always remember, the day they came to the Oval and conquered.
Well, I think a lot of people are sceptical about these matches, Eddie, but when you look out here and you see vast amounts of people out on the ground, I think the security can give their job away, Sam, but they're out there. They've just had a great day, and footy has produced a very entertaining spectacle. And
it's great, Sam, the young guys all getting around London, soaking up a bit of the culture as well as some of the local beers, but having great fun amongst it. And when you look at the shot of those Richmond guys up in the balcony about to get this trophy, it does mean something to them, and it's something extra for our game. And these are the type of things, as you said, the naysayers will have a go about these games, but they mean an awful lot to the people involved.
We actually were speaking to a number of them at the Australian Embassy at the reception, and they haven't just been drinking grog, they've been out looking at the sights and going on tours and taking in the culture. So an education in itself, Gerard, for most of us.
Oh, I think that's fair to say, Sam. I'm actually staggered that so many people are here, and there hasn't been one incident. We've had a couple of people get down to the birth skin, but that's about the only thing that anybody can complain about. And we've got a new bit of terminology in the game.
It's called a cheerio. And the man had a big cheerio down there as he threw himself manfully into the goal square.
He was obviously a rugby league supporter.
No, it's great. And so as the sun sinks slowly behind Westminster Abbey, Ed, I don't know what the Bombers sink slowly into the Thames. Anyhow, they wouldn't take it too seriously, and we shouldn't make too much of it, but it has been a great day.
Certainly for the Tigers to be able to salvage something in the end. As you can see, it's a wonderful crowd here. There were some 8,000 to 10,000 tickets sold, pre-sold. Generally, I think in the past they wouldn't have sold any more than about 500. So we're expecting a good crowd. It was a shocking morning in London. It was pouring rain. But as the sun came out, so too did the Aussies, and they really have filled this ground today. Probably about 13 or 14,000, and I think Gerard has given this international series a kick along. Last year, of course, it was supposed to be Essendon versus Richmond playing here, and unfortunately the tragedy of September 11 ended that situation. But we'll go down to Craig Willis in a few moments' time, who'll be emceeing on behalf of the AFL and presenting the AMP trophy to Matthew Richardson and the Richmond Football Club.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think you'll agree it's been a terrific afternoon here at the AMP Oval, and let's thank both teams for joining us here in London, to Essendon and to the Tigers. Joining us on the presentation balcony is Mike Soper, the chairman of the Surrey County Cricket Club, Paul Sheldon, the chief executive of the Surrey County Cricket Club. Representing AMP, we have Mr. Warwick Foster, and I'm going to call upon the chief executive officer of the Australian Football League, Mr. Wayne Jackson, to present the AMP Challenge Cup to Matthew Richardson, the captain of the Richmond Football Club. And behind us, Clinton Casey, the president, and all the boys. Richo, what about the crowd here today? I know you've been here before, but we've had over 12,000 people. A terrific atmosphere.
Yeah, it was great fun today. I think both teams had a lot of fun. It was with everyone in the crowd. There was a lot of festivities in the crowd. It made for a great day, and it's great to see so many Aussies down here supporting it.
And the Tigers have had a pretty good record playing here at the Oval.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. We're 2 from 2 at the Oval. We might have to make this our home ground or something. I don't know.
Worry about the travel then, mate. Congratulations, go and enjoy the win with the boys. Matthew Richardson, the captain of the Richmond Football Club, and that concludes our presentation here from the AMP Oval.
But as Sam Newman wandered off to discuss the win with the local people in the crowd, and he don't just stick it with us for the last 2 minutes.
Well, I mean, I was dragged offside here and had to get...
Shut up!
Anyhow, it's fantastic. They've all just completely deteriorated now, the crowd.
They have, as there's a couple of other people.
About 80 minutes they are.
But Richo was thrilled. Would you bring Collingwood over, Ed?
Oh, I'd love for Collingwood to come over and play in this game, Gerard, and I think it was great that Richmond and Essendon had the chance after they were missed out last year, and it was good to see Richo hammed it up a bit with the old trophy there.
He was, yes.
Really got stuck in it, but it's a nice piece of silver with the AMP trophy, and as you can see, the game may be over, but the festivities are far from it here at the Oval. They're chanting, they're cheering, they want Sam Newman, they want anything that has got Australian rules around it. They're throwing around toilet rolls, they're having all sorts of fun. And we'll be over tomorrow, of course, at Croke Park in Ireland when we really do it seriously tomorrow. Ireland versus Australia, Croke Park, 11:50. Make sure you join us on Nine's Widewater Sport. Gerard, it's really going to be a great game of football. I can't wait to call it.
Yeah, it's fair dinkum, Eddie. The guys have been preparing very well during the week, and it's going to be a red-hot go very early in the match.
It's been a fantastic afternoon here in London. I hope you've all enjoyed it. Congratulations to the Tigers. They're the AMP International Champions of 2002.
This has been another presentation from Nine's Wide World of Sports.